Part 33. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 321. Boom. The altar of the Tower of Heritage once again made a series of vibrating sounds. In all directions, dense gray monsters appeared again. The 66th floor. Currently, Mu Yu Tingfeng, who has the highest achievement among the Sacred Tree Masters, has only reached the 65th floor. Anil's eyes became a little more solemn. Now, she knew that what she was about to face was to break the current upper limit of the Sacred Tree Master and reach a higher level. So many S-class monsters. Anil's mental power swept around. On the 65th floor, the number of S-class monsters has reached thousands. This is already a terrifying number. However, the S-class monsters on this floor are even more numerous. There are as many as 3,000. The number has tripled. Not only that. Anil also noticed that in the center of the monster army, there was a monster with a more sinister aura lurking. SS-level monster. Anil's heart became a little nervous at this moment. She has never encountered such a high-level monster in her life. If it were in the past, facing a monster of this level, Anil would not hesitate to use the teleportation talisman in his hand and leave the Tower of Heritage directly. However, Xueji's sword began to vibrate with an excited buzz. A powerful sword will not only not flinch when facing a powerful enemy, but will also release a stronger fighting spirit. The same is true for an excellent swordsman. Anil has merged with the Sword God template. At this moment, her Sword Heart realm is only one step away from the realm where human and sword merge into one. How could the Sword Heart at its peak be frightened away by the enemy? The next second, the sword in Anil's hand moved. Countless rays of sword light, like shadows covering the sky and the sun, scattered and slanted around. The monster submerged by the sword light died instantly. The guards of the Tower of Heritage at the forefront have a level defense. Even if they face the impact of a mountain, they may not be able to kill them. However, when the sword light in Anil's hand flooded the monster's body, the A-level defense was like a piece of tissue paper being swept by a laser. It couldn't resist for even a second and disappeared in the sword light like flying snowflakes. Immediately afterwards, the S-class monster following behind suddenly stopped in its tracks. There was fear in those pair of murderous eyes. The next second, the sword light comes. S-class monsters were also killed instantly. There were 3,000 S-class monsters, and in the blink of an eye there were only a few hundred scattered ones left. These hundreds of monsters were not killed by the sword light because they stood far away and spread out. Anil opened her eyes, and those clear turquoise pupils reflected a hellish scene. But that hell is the hell of monsters. But Anil is the true form of the god of killing. She looked at Xueji in her hand with some disbelief, and her eyes suddenly turned from doubtful to bright. My sword heart finally broke through. That's right, an LE at this moment has broken through the peak of the sword heart realm. It has reached the realm where man and sword are united. The Xueji in his hand made a trembling sound. The sound of the sword was psychic, and the sound continued, while celebrating the progress of the sword master. At the same time, he is also thirsty for the blood of his enemies. Click. Click. At this moment, the monsters next to them made a harsh and unpleasant exchange of sounds. After reaching the 65th floor, S-class monsters have certain combat intelligence and can signal their companions through their voices and command them how to fight. Anil, their mental power is very strong. Although they do not understand the language of monsters, they can capture what the other party wants to express from the mental fluctuations they release. Damn it, how could this human being be so powerful? Don't be afraid, she must be struggling to her death, she didn't show such tyrannical strength just now. It was just a flashback at the end of the road. She didn't have much energy left to unleash such a powerful skill. Jaja, the little girl has thin skin and tender meat, It must taste very good. Eat her. Eat her. As the monsters once again sent out a burst of harsh and unpleasant mental fluctuations, these monsters that came like a tide launched another crazy attack. Onel's expression was very calm. Having reached the state where man and sword merge into one, she knew that no monster present would be her opponent, including that SS-level monster. Following the light of the sword in his hand, it flashed again. All the monsters that come towards you will die? No. How can it be? Ah, it is impossible for a human being to be so powerful. With a burst of screams, the monsters died one after another. On the field, there was only a figure with a black aura all over its body, standing in the center of the altar. That was the SS-level monster. It had a human form and was covered with a black sacrificial costume. The appearance is hidden under the long hood, the face cannot be seen, but you can feel the pair of extremely sinister eyes under the hood. Before Onel broke through the unity of man and sword, he was once beaten by this. A pair of eyes looked at it, and a chill aroused throughout the body. However, at this moment, this feeling no longer existed. Instead, the person who felt fear was the SS-level monster itself. Its eyes were full of disbelief. It was impossible to understand, a human, how could he become so powerful in such a short period of time? Enli's figure jumped lightly. Like a white crane, lightly passing over the water. Or like a ray of sunshine passing through the center of the lake under the clear water and blue sky, the reflection of the after image. The light and shadow flickered. It seemed that it was just in this world, staying for less than a moment, but it bloomed into a beautiful posture. The light and shadow gradually dimmed and went away, taking with it the head of the SS-level monster. The hood has disappeared, and the sinister and evil eyes have been closed forever, cutting off all the noise in this world. Rumble. Along with the altar shaking again. Onel killed the SS-level monster and broke through easily. The 66th level has reached the next level. She opened the panel. Tower of Heritage points, 10 million. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 322. 10 million points. This is already a watershed breakthrough. Now, the number of floors of the Tower of Heritage has reached the 75th floor. At this extremely difficult level, the S-class monsters have become the regular troops of the past. Wherever you look, it's endless. It seems like there is no way to kill them all. The number of SS-level monsters has reached thousands. Even nightmare-level dungeons may not be of such a scale. In terms of difficulty, it is much higher. After all, although the monsters in the nightmare-level dungeon are all powerful, at least everyone has a certain range of perception. If there is a corresponding clearance strategy, then there is a chance to bypass the monster's perception, kill the boss directly, or get it yourself target item. But in the Tower of Heritage, all monsters must be faced at the same time, and there is no time to rest at all. Here is the ordeal for the strong. The rewards here are only reserved for the strongest. Nothing left to chance. Any sacred tree master who has conquered this point will not be able to help but change his expression. Too many monsters. A copy of this difficulty is simply impossible for most sacred tree masters to complete. With such a huge wave of monsters, and facing increasingly higher difficulties in the future, how is it possible to pass the level? Moreover, facing the siege of countless S-level monsters and thousands of SS-level monsters, the only possibility that the Divine Tree Master can survive is this teleportation talisman in his hand. No matter what desperate situation any attacker reaches, as long as he uses the teleportation talisman, he can immediately leave the Tower of Heritage and avoid fatal attacks. However, facing so many powerful monsters, no matter how quick the reaction is, the master may not have time to use it, and he will be killed if he is not careful. Must be used in advance. Even the top Divine Tree Masters would shake their heads and give up when faced with such a situation. that can no longer be made up for with strength. Even if you can kill all the monsters, can you retain your physical strength until later? It is not worth it to face an extremely high death threat for this higher reward. However, standing here, Onel's eyes did not change at all. Just like facing tests again and again before. Only by passing the trial of the strongest can you get the endless treasures. The next second, the monsters are already fighting. The jade-like sword light also fell like rain. But in addition to the bright sword light, behind Onel, there is an ancient underworld. The surging water of the Styx drowned all the monsters here. Not only that. From the underworld of the dead, there are also countless violent souls, roaring and launching fatal attacks at the enemy. Underworld fruit. This kind of power can gather the power of the souls of the dead to continuously enhance the power of the Styx. Killing them all the way, Onel didn't know how many monsters he killed. From the beginning, the power of the underworld fruit was only about S level. As it accumulated along the way, now any wave that hits it has SS level power. That is an attack more terrifying than the sword light. Sweep the whole crowd. Whether the monster is defending or attacking, it will be completely submerged by the Styx river. Plunged into the most desperate situation. Able to attack and defend, this is the power of the underworld fruit. Although it is not as high as the upper limit of the sword god template, at this stage, the underworld fruit will become the most desperate skill for the enemy. The endless underworld swept through the entire altar like a tide, and the monsters on it were like a group of ants drowned by a tsunami. Even if the number was too huge, the ants were still just ants. Unable to resist the power of the tsunami. The SS-class monster is like a ship that is about to be bumped at any time in the waves of the Styx. The sword light that followed became the straw that crushed their last hope. After raging for an unknown amount of time, even the S-class monsters with no end in sight disappeared. After all the monsters died, the altar shook violently again, rising towards the higher challenge of the Tower of Heritage. At this time, several notification sounds appeared in Onel's ears. The time for the Tower of Heritage challenge has arrived. Challenge level will be closed soon. You can choose to continue the challenge, or quit this challenge and receive the rewards directly. This ranking, 1. Number of people remaining, 200. If you continue to challenge, you will get a higher Tower of Heritage reward. If you challenge all 100 floors, you will get the highest reward. If you give up the challenge, the rewards for this ranking will be calculated, and after all the Sacred Tree Masters exit, you will receive the rewards with the last ranking. Onel's eyes moved slightly, and he secretly said in his heart, are there any other challengers who haven't come out? Currently, the Tower of Heritage challenge time has ended. This means that there will never be a new challenger to challenge the Tower of Heritage. However, the Sacred Tree Masters who have already entered the Tower of Heritage can continue to challenge and will not quit midway. According to the system's prompts, there are still 200 people who are continuing to challenge the levels. Among them, there may be some who have just entered, but there may also be top experts like myself who continue to challenge the higher UPS. In other words, ranking first is only temporary, not absolute. Among the 200 people behind, there may not be a dark horse that will surpass his ranking. Therefore, only when there are only one remaining person and the ranking is still number 1, does this mean that the ranking has completely stabilized this time. Keep up the challenge. Onel's eyes became firm. Her mission this time is to get the first place in the rankings. The president has given herself so many top-level superpower fruits. After reaching this level, she must put this mission get it. Otherwise, what qualifications do you have to continue to stay in the Akatsuki organization? What's more, Onel feels that he is strong enough to continue to conquer several floors or even surpass the legendary 100th floor. Completely clear the Tower of Heritage and get a unique reward. Lu Shu only asked Onel to get the first place in the rankings and the first condition in transactions, but he was not interested in the highest reward of the Tower of Heritage. If Anil exceeds the task conditions, then, the highest reward it's the extra mission reward she gets. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 323. Grey World. Tower of Inheritance. Many divine tree masters gathered here. One after another figures came out of the light curtain. During the deadline for this challenge, many people were stuck for time and went to conquer it. Therefore, the number of people is relatively large. If there are some unscrupulous people who want to take action at this time and intercept the treasures obtained by others from the Tower of Heritage, the possibility of being targeted at this time will also be reduced. At this time, several figures appeared from the Tower of Heritage. People from Xiaoyu sect. At this moment, Xiaoyu took a long breath and felt slightly satisfied with this strategy. 1 million points is already pretty good. With our strength, being able to reach 1 million points is already a pretty good achievement. Let's get out of here quickly. Everyone in Xiaoyu sect nodded. They walked outside. At this moment, Qin Feng appeared in front of everyone in Xiaoyu sect. Xiaoyu sect master, congratulations on earning 1 million points. Your ranking on the ranking list is not small. Qin Feng walked over with a smile on his face. The expressions of everyone in the Xiaoyu sect became ugly. Everyone knew that Qin Feng appeared at this time to claim previous rewards and rewards according to the contract. Of course not. What a good look you would give this guy. Qin Feng, it's too early for you to speak. According to the contents of the contract, you must at least escort us successfully out of the Tower of Heritage, and we are all safe before the contents of the contract take effect. It has just been released and the content has not been completed yet. Are you so anxious to get a share? Xiaoyu's words were full of sarcasm. On the surface, Qin Feng was protecting them according to the contract. In fact, he was no different from a robber. Everyone knows what Qin Feng has done recently. It's just that this guy is trying to divert hatred. That trick is also very good. He actually controlled the information on the world's public screen and successfully dumped the hatred value on the head of the Dark Knight Alliance. From this point of view, Qin Feng is also bold enough. Okay, with my name, Qin Feng, who will touch you? Qin Feng showed a confident smile, and his eyes when looking at Xiaoyu were full of greed. Not only was he coveting the treasures in the Tower of Inheritance. Xiaoyu herself was also very good looking, with her pretty face paired with the extremely cold temperament. It is easy to arouse the possessiveness of people like Qin Feng. Feeling the hungry wolf-like eyes, Xiaoyu also felt a sense of discomfort, and the eyes she looked at Qin Feng were full of disgust. Just then at this time, a killing god formation suddenly enveloped everyone in Xiaoyu. Everyone's expressions changed. There is murderous intent. Qin Feng's expression has also changed. He never expected that someone would actually attack Xiaoyu at this time. Could it be that this damn bitch deliberately leaked her information to provoke the enemy? Qin Feng's eyes became much sharper at this time, but when he looked at Xiaoyu, he found that everyone in the Xiaoyu guild also looked like they were facing a formidable enemy. Suddenly, a murderous intention gathered. From the shadows, many killers dressed in black appeared. They came in the night, as if they were born to be assassins in the night. In the blink of an eye, they appeared here silently, surrounding everyone. Then even a master of Qin Feng's level felt a sense of murderous intent. Dark Knight Alliance. Why are you here? Qin Feng's expression was uncertain and changed a bit. He was sure that the people ahead were from the Dark Knight Alliance. If there is anyone in the world of the sacred tree who can make Qin Feng afraid, then it must be Dark Knight Alliance. However, this location should be kept secret. Why would Dark Knight come here? Qin Feng, you actually asked why we came. During this period of time, you have sprinkled so much dirty water on our Dark Knight Alliance's head, and now you can still ask the question why. Whatever. He's just a dead man. If you ask this question, it won't change your outcome. The killing array filled the air, and countless shadows emerged. From the shadows, a cold voice echoed in all directions. The night suddenly enveloped all directions. Everyone's vision was suppressed to the lowest level in the dark realm. They obviously opened their eyes. But it seemed that he was in a dark eternal night, and could not see anything in front of him. It was as if he had become blind. Qin Feng's heart became a little colder with the appearance of this voice. He could be sure that the person who spoke was he is the leader of the Dark Knight Alliance. Dark Knight? Although his reputation has been extremely bad in the world of the Sacred Tree recently. However, no top Sacred Tree Master can compare with the strength of the Dark Knight. In this dark realm, it symbolizes that Anya has realized the realm of the realm. That is a realm that even Sakyamuni would shy away from. The failure in the Tower of Heritage is purely due to the strength of the assassin, who is at a disadvantage when attacking monsters in a large area. Moreover, each skill consumes a lot of money to use. Therefore, the results in the Tower of Heritage are not ideal. But if it is a one-on-one battle, or a battle between Divine Tree Masters, that is Anya's specialty, and it is also his best what Qin Feng is good at. What Qin Feng found most incredible was that Anya actually mobilized so many people just to kill himself. He also understood at this moment. Anya didn't come to trouble Xiaoyu at all, but wanted to kill yourself. Huh, do you think you're sure to win? Qin Feng sneered. Having reached the realm of Sword Heart, he has absolute confidence in the sword in his hand. Very good, since the Dark Knight Alliance has come to intercept Hu and my Divine Sword Pavilion, then I, Qin Feng, will do justice for heaven today and kill you, the devil who harms all living beings. Qin Feng's righteous voice seemed to be the protagonist of the righteous sect in the novel. However, people who knew the truth would only cast extremely contemptuous eyes when they heard what he said. And yes, eyes were even colder. Get up. I wish I could kill Qin Feng directly. However, that Xueji is really scary. Qin Feng's mind has communicated with the sword in his body. However, his expression completely froze in the next second. Xueji had actually disconnected from him a long time ago. Where is my sword? Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 324. Qin Feng's face suddenly froze on the spot. Xueji disappeared. When did this happen? No, what exactly is going on? You know, the weapons of the Divine Tree Master are bound to the system panel. Even if you want to transfer weapons, you must go through the transaction panel. If you just steal it, it will be useless. Even if you kill the enemy's Sacred Tree Master, you may not be able to obtain the items in the opponent's system. At most, you will be rewarded with additional sacred trees. That's why they intercepted the Divine Tree Master halfway and threatened them to use the trading panel and hand over everything they got. The weirdest thing is, Qin Feng has no idea what happened. His Xueji disappeared out of thin air in the equipment panel. The only thing left was a relatively good A-level famous sword. But compared with Xueji, who is rank 7th on the famous sword list, there is no comparison at all. Qin Feng dares to dominate in the grey world, and he relies heavily on that Xueji, which can nearly double his strength in the realm of Sword Heart. Without Xueji, Qin Feng wouldn't be able to exert even half of his strength, let alone fight against a top Divine Tree Master like Anya. Qin Feng, what are you still doing? If you don't protect us, the contract will be void on the spot. The look on Xiao Yuke's side turned cold and she scolded. She clearly saw a look of retreat flashing across Qin Feng's face. He didn't even take out Xueji. This is the rhythm of wanting to run alone. Although Xiao Xiao Yu didn't know where the Dark Knight Alliance came from, and it suddenly sent out a strong man of Dark Knight's level. However, in such a crisis, even Qin Feng, who was once an enemy, he could only rely on him to tide over the crisis. However, what Xiao Yu didn't expect was that Qin Feng actually wanted to run away. Didn't Shenjian Pavilion pour all the dirty water on the Dark Knight Alliance? He didn't even have the courage to fight against Dark Knight Nun? Then what kind of top-level sacred tree master is this person still bragging about? Qin Feng gritted his teeth. If he could leave, he would have left long ago. However, today's Dark Knight was basically for him alone. Can he escape? To put it another way, if you violate the contract, not only will you not be able to get Xiao Yu's share, but you will also lose most of your own strength due to backlash. In addition, if Xueji is gone, then his people will be destroyed. Qin Feng suddenly gritted his teeth and pulled out another sword, pointing at Dark Knight. Bring it on. Anya narrowed his eyes and saw that the sword in Qin Feng's hand was not Xueji. He was so angry that his eyes were full of killing intent. This guy looked down on himself. He didn't even pull out Xueji. He felt that he was not worthy of showing Xueji. Very good, I will cut you into pieces. Anya's voice echoed coldly in the ears of everyone on the field. The next second, he turned into an afterimage and killed Qin Feng. Qin Feng's face suddenly changed. Without Xueji, I didn't expect that the gap between myself and Anya was so big. It was too late. Click. In the blink of an eye, Anya's blade had penetrated Qin Feng's chest. Qin Feng died on the spot. Everyone was stunned. It's over, why is Anya so strong? Why doesn't Qin Feng show his snow spirit? Is there something wrong with this person's thinking? Damn it, let's get out of here. I declare that Shenjian Pavilion has nothing to do with me. I have withdrawn from Shenjian Pavilion. All around, the members of Shenjian Pavilion looked frightened. They knew that Anya was very strong, but they felt that Qin Feng was at least capable of fighting. As a result, he was instantly killed in one encounter. Then where did he get the courage to contact the Dark Knight Alliance before? It's really hard to understand. Anya didn't even bother to pay attention to the other members of the Divine Sword Pavilion. In his opinion, these improvised guild members were just a bunch of rabble. Then, he looked in another direction. Xiao Yu and others disappeared. Leader, we have been staring at the people from Shenjian Pavilion and have not noticed the Xiao Yu section. Several subordinates came to Anya and said slightly apologetically. Forget it, today was not aimed at Xiao Yu section. Anya shook his head, put away the blade, and looked at Qin Feng's fallen body with pity. Then, he said to his subordinates, anyway, the time for the Tower of Heritage challenge has almost passed. Already entered once. Even if you know the strategy, it's of no use. Send this video out and tell everyone, if you come to the Dark Knight Alliance again in the future, this is what you will end up with. Soon. The video of Anya killing Qin Feng instantly was uploaded to the internet. Overnight, Shenjian Pavilion was collectively disbanded. The other guilds that were cut off from each other have also completely restrained themselves and no longer dare to touch the Dark Knight Alliance at will. Among them, the most controversial one is the scene of Qin Feng being killed instantly in the Dark Knight. Is Anya really that strong? Didn't someone say that Qin Feng was a first-rate master before? Why was he killed instantly? Wait, look at Qin Feng in the picture, the sword in his hand doesn't seem to be Xueji. You don't need Xueji to fight Anya? This man is so crazy that there is something wrong with his brain. Although Anya was criticized by us, this person still has the ability to kill alone. Fu Xueji is really seriously ill. He's just an idiot, he deserves to die, so that he doesn't have to do anything to cut off the bullshit. Don't blame Qin Feng, this person is not much better than Anya. Many sacred tree masters have been cut off by them, and they still brag that they are righteous people. I feel sick just looking at it. The entire world's public screens have become lively. At this time, the Tower of Heritage once again announced several dark horse, with an unbelievable score of about 5 million, rushed to the rankings. The rankings are still facing a wave of shuffles. Everyone is extremely nervous. At the top of the ranking list, Mu Tingfeng's name is still at the top of the list, and no one can shake it. Mu Tingfeng smiled for the first time in a long time. After such a long time, no one can surpass his own results, so it should be stable, right? Next, all he had to do was wait. However, 3 days passed. There are very few sacred tree masters coming out of the Tower of Heritage. But the challenge continues. Mu Tingfeng's expression also became a little more solemn. She remembered that she had conquered the 65th floor and only used it for 3 days at most. Could anyone challenge the historical record? Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 325. Boom. The altar shook. Enli's face showed a hint of fatigue. After fighting here, she had already lost a lot of energy. Reaching levels above the 90th floor. SS-level monsters have become endless minions. There are even SSS-level monsters. If it weren't for Enli's Sword God template, which has already broken through to the realm of the integration of man and sword, I'm afraid he would be instantly killed if he encountered a monster of this level. Fortunately, with the underworld fruit, the further you get to the back, the stronger your abilities become. SSS-level monsters cannot completely ignore the erosion of the underworld fruit. With the Shueji in his hand, Enli was able to stand here successfully. But her condition deteriorated. The Shueji held in his hand was trembling slightly. Being able to come here was quite difficult for Enli. But her nearly depleted physical strength also made her feel powerless when facing the monster behind her. At this time, in the center of the altar, an extremely huge monster appeared. The monster's body reaches straight into the sky, and even a giant's body looks extremely small compared to it. Anil's blood instantly felt stagnant. The terrible pressure that appeared in front of her made it difficult for her to breathe. Monsters above SSS level. Anil's face looked a little pale. It went beyond the scope of the Divine Tree Master's cognition. A monster that reached the SSS level or above appeared in front of Anil. She couldn't help but feel helpless to resist. This was something she couldn't resist. Enemy. Retreat. This idea came to Anil's mind. At this stage, it is estimated that no sacred tree master can surpass Anil's results. As long as she gets the first place on the list, it is considered a success for her. Why challenge an unknown person? Enemies that can be defeated? However, they have already reached the 99th floor. Only the last floor is left to accomplish something unprecedented and unprecedented. Enli felt a little unwilling. But facing the invincible enemy. Besides giving up, there seems to be no better choice. Anil subconsciously drives her thoughts, and the teleportation talisman has appeared in her hand. With just a slight squeeze, Anil can leave here. But just as she is about to pinch the teleportation talisman the moment before the talisman was cast, a thought suddenly emerged. If I try to contact the president, will I have a chance to pass the 100th level of this legend? That's right. The tree lover. Anil has been able to reach this stage because he swallowed the fruit of the tree and passed through this incredible level. If the president himself came here, what kind of attitude would you take to challenge where is this Tower of Heritage? Take a deep breath. Anil opened the panel in front of her. She quickly sent a message. Anil: President, I have reached the 100th floor of the Tower of Heritage. The enemies in front of me are already insurmountable. What should I do next? Ding. Divine Tree Master Anil sent you a message. Lu Shu heard a prompt in his ear and immediately opened the chat box panel. He actually broke through to the 99th floor. When he saw Onel's message, he felt a little surprised. Originally, he just wanted the little girl to get the first place in the rankings, but he didn't let her conquer all the inheritance towers directly. What he didn't expect was, Onel broke through to the realm of the unity of man and sword, and his fighting spirit became so strong. After clearing all the levels, he actually reached the incredible 99th floor. If Lu Shu himself passed by, then the 100th floor would be solved. Of course there is no problem. But Onel was able to conquer the 99th floor, which was beyond Lu Shu's expectation. The Sacred Tree Master Onel has sent you a memory video. In the picture, a huge monster stood in front of Onel, looking extremely terrifying. Lu Shu was also stunned by this monster. Even if he has passed the Super Nightmare level dungeon, he has never seen any monsters that are so scary. It was as if facing this monster was like facing the entire sky. Then, Lu Shu suddenly discovered something was wrong. The next second, a monster panel appeared in front of him. Jin. Category, Sub-Gods. Danger Coefficient, SSS+. Perception Range, Tower of Inheritance Power. 10,200. Speed, 9,150. Defense, 12,120. Skills, Jin Body, Mental Shock, Divine Inheritance, Sky-Shattering Roar. Description: Jinns come from the heavenly palace. The guarding monsters among them have a certain degree of divinity and were born from the god of gathering spirits. They have huge bodies, and they can shock the minds of their opponents with the virtual image of the giant spirit body, making it impossible for the enemy to exert 100% of their strength. It turned out to be a monster from heaven. Lu Shu's eyes showed a trace of surprise. He suddenly remembered. The great Emperor of Thunder seems to be a powerful man from the heavenly palace. Therefore, this giant spirit was also brought by him. But the race of the giant spirit is not a pure race of gods. It's just a subspecies form derived from the giant spirit god. Their size itself is not so huge, but a phantom produced by an ability similar to the law of the sky and the earth. The real giant spirit, even the level of semi-saint, has not been reached, only SSS-level. It seems that the Emperor of Thunder did not set the difficulty of the Tower of Heritage so abnormally. After all, this is the Tower of Heritage, not the life-stealing tower. They are looking for the inheritors. Who would specifically think about how to kill the inheritor? What else should be inherited? The corpse? Therefore, the last level set by the Thunder Emperor looks difficult, but the actual difficulty has not been increased too exaggeratedly. It is also used to test the courage of the inheritors. He is worthy of being a messenger from the heavenly palace. He's really good at playing. Lu Shu shook his head and smiled. Then he opened the chat box and replied to Onel. President: The name of this monster is Jin. Its strength does not exceed SSS level. It only reaches SSS+. It is not invincible. President: Relax your mental power, and I will help you kill this monster through mental resonance later. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 326. Tower of Inheritance. Onel's eyes suddenly lit up. I saw a little flicker of light in the lower left corner of the chat box. The president finally responded. Onel opened it instantly and had a look of surprise on his face. It turns out that this monster looks so huge, it's just a mental attack to scare others. Onel, you are still too young to be fooled by illusions. However, the giant spirit itself has reached SSS+, which is stronger than me. Being suppressed by it is not unforgivable. The president is so awesome that he even fully understands the final boss of the Tower of Heritage. No wonder he doesn't come to attack this place. He must think it's a waste of time, right? Generally speaking, the types of monsters in the gray world are relatively fixed. Since Lu Shu can know the news about the giant spirit, it means that he should have seen it, or at least be able to deal with it, to know so specifically. Anil took a deep breath. I secretly sighed in my heart. He deserves to be one of the top men on the list. Sure enough, it is not something that ordinary people like me can imagine. A wave of mental power was transmitted to Anil's body. What a powerful spirit! Anil exclaimed and found that the resonance ability has connected to him. If the Divine Tree Master wants to choose the same Divine Tree Master to resonate, once the other party's consciousness resists, even if the spiritual power exceeds the other party, it will be difficult to successfully achieve it. But just now Lulu, however, Shu directly forced the resonance, and Anil didn't even have the ability to react for a second. What does this mean? It can only be said that even Lu Shu's attainments in mental power surpassed Anil by a lot. Anil suddenly felt that the more when you come into contact with a big guy on the list, the opponent's strength becomes more unfathomable. It's like the abyss of the sea. Only by constantly exploring downward can you know what exaggerated position you can reach in the deepest part. Only then can you know what's outside the sky. What a vast starry sky! When Lu Shu arrived, Anil suddenly found that his spiritual ocean was turbulent. The next second, the giant image on the giant spirit's body disappeared in an instant. The figure turned into an ordinary giant beast. Although the giant spirit was broken due to its racial talent, its size was not comparable to other monsters. At least it was a bit taller than the giant. But it didn't look that big, it's exaggerated. The intimidation effect will be reduced a lot. The physical resistance of the jinn is very high, and it is difficult for your sword to cause much damage to the enemy. I will use my mental power to directly suppress the giant spirit. You are responsible for destroying other monsters. Lu Shu's words echoed in Anil's ears. Good. Anil nodded immediately. The sword light in her hand leaped for a while. Behind her, the vast sticks turned into a sea of Wanyang, sweeping across all directions. The underworld fruit absorbed enough monster souls and almost evolved to SSS level. All monsters are unable to resist the sweep of the sticks. Even if they are not submerged, their movements will be greatly hindered. The Shueji in Li's hand splits out sword lights that are as bright as white stars, and all the monsters are swept away by the sticks. The movement of the monsters in the river was greatly hindered. The sword light suddenly turned into a deadly harvesting blade. No monster could survive wherever it passed. Le killed the monsters around him while observing the actions of the giant spirits. In her eyes, other monsters are nothing, only the giant spirits are the real threat. At the same time, Lu Shu said that the giant spirits are left to him to solve. Anil also wanted to know how the leader of the list would help him deal with the unbeatable SSS and level enemy, who is also the strongest monster in the Tower of Heritage, thousands of miles away. However, time passed by minute by second. Anil discovered the giant spirit descended from Lu Shu, and now she has killed many monsters around her without even moving. It's like she's petrified. Etc. The giant spirit was completely suppressed by spiritual power. The president plans to directly use his mental power to obliterate the consciousness of the giant spirit. Anil realized this, opened his mouth slightly, and his emerald pupils flashed with surprise. That's right. It's not that the giant spirit doesn't want to move. After its magic, sky and earth were destroyed, not to mention how angry it was. This is the giant spirit. The racial skills that the spirit is proud of. It has a natural sense of superiority over the weak and humble humans. However, today, the phantom of the giant spirit's legal body was not only broken, but was also suppressed by the mental power of a human being. He doesn't even have the ability to move. How frustrating this is. What's even more terrifying is, in addition to being unable to move, The giant spirit also noticed that his spiritual consciousness was gradually dissipating. The scene in front of him was like a wisp of smoke. Like, constantly drifting from the field of vision to the distant sky. An irresistible sense of fatigue invades the mind of the giant spirit, making it feel particularly frightened. As long as its consciousness is completely dissipated, its consciousness will never wake up. There is no difference from death. The giant spirit is afraid. What kind of terrible enemy can this be to reach such a state? The obliteration of mental power. After swallowing the spiritual ocean fruit, Lu Shu's mental power has completely disappeared. The same. Moreover, he also condensed his own small world. The divinity of the giant spirit has no effect on Lu Shu. The origin is higher than the divinity. Therefore, the personality of the giant spirit loses its effect at this time. The ability to resist is just a piece of paper in Lu Shu's eyes. He doesn't even need to come in person. Lu Shu only needs to use the ability of resonance to intervene his mental power into the Tower of Heritage to kill any monster here. What's the problem? Anil's eyes widened even more. This was the first time in her life that she had seen such a terrifying method. That's about it, let's get rid of the other monsters. Hearing Lu Shu's words, Anil nodded immediately. What he had to do was to get rid of the other monsters. The death of the giant spirit had been completely pronounced by Lu Shu. The sword light kept flashing across the area. One after another the monster fell under the light of the sword. Finally, the giant spirit's eyes closed forever. A reminder appeared in front of Anil. Congratulations on clearing the 100-story Tower of Inheritance and winning first place. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 327. Tower of Inheritance. At this moment, many sacred tree masters showed restless expressions. From time to time, they looked in the direction of the Tower of Heritage. At this time, a figure walked out of the light curtain. It was a scholar wearing white clothes. In the world of Divine Tree Master, he is not a very famous character. To put it bluntly, he is just a supporting role. However, the moment he just walked out, everyone focused on him. The scholar was immediately frightened and prayed silently in his heart, I am just a rookie who has only conquered more than a dozen levels. Please don't come to trouble me. What a pity. Life is often so unpredictable. Sometimes, when you don't want trouble to come, trouble will come. He saw a group of Divine Tree Masters and immediately surrounded him. Be good. If you take a casual look at it, you will see that there are probably tens of thousands of people surrounding it, right? The scholar felt like crying. What sin did you do in your previous life? He was able to provoke the Divine Tree Master Guild, which numbered tens of thousands of people, to cause trouble for him. It's so miserable. I saw a big man walking over in front of me, put his hand on his shoulder, and patted him meaningfully. The scholar said with a bitter look on his face, stop shooting, boss, I will give you all the harvest from the Tower of Heritage. The man was speechless for a while. Who said I was going to steal your stuff? Ah! The scholar was completely confused. So these people didn't come to rob me? Then why did they all come to find me, an ordinary me? Let me ask you, were you the second to last one? The big man asked aloud. The scholar finally understood why these people came to him. He thought for a moment, and then a wry smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. To be honest, the reason why I released the dungeon so late this time was because I had been avoiding monsters, which was why it took me so long. If we had fought head-on, we would have lost long ago. My energy has been focused on avoiding monster attacks, and I didn't even have time to pay attention to the panel. However, I remember that when I looked at the panel, there were only single digits. As for how many more there were, I don't remember. The scholar's words were not doubted by others. The top sacred tree masters all had some reflections on each other. The big man stopped entangled, turned to the sacred tree masters behind him, and said solemnly, "Go up the one who came out ranked third. He should be second to last." So, that is to say, there is still the last sacred tree master left in the Tower of Heritage. Many top sacred tree masters breathe a sigh of relief. There is only one spot left. It seems that their ranking has been completely stable. Even if there is one more person, it will not have too much impact on the top 100 rankings. Big fluctuations. Among them, the happiest one is Mu Tingfeng. So far, no one has been able to shake her number one position. With 6.5 million points, she is firmly ranked at the top of this inheritance, the first place in the tower. If my prediction is accurate, the tree-loving man probably won't go to the Tower of Heritage this time. There was a hint of excitement on Mu Tingfeng's face. She made a prediction and found that Tianji did not appear near the Tower of Heritage. Mu Tingfeng had always been a little depressed. Ever since she was tricked by the tree man's Tianji backlash, she has to be extra careful when using prediction powers. Especially this time with the Tower of Heritage. There seems to be a layer of mysterious power that prevents her from predicting related content. Mu Tingfeng noticed everything about the Tower of Heritage, and couldn't. After making the prediction, I could only predict whether the tree-lumping man would come here. The result was that the chance was relatively small. And during this period, my ranking has not been shaken. Many people felt that the tree-lumping man might not be interested in the inheritance. The harvest of the tower, so it did not appear. This statement is also reasonable. Even Mu Tingfeng's prediction is like this. World Public Screen, everyone's views on this ranking are quite unanimous. The one who ranked first this time is probably Mu Tingfeng. Yes, the level of the tree raider has surpassed the Tower of Heritage, so he probably won't come again. I don't know when the last person came out. I am still waiting for the reward to be distributed. This last challenger is too late. How many days have passed and he is still fighting inside? It should be the same as the person above, he kept dragging it on and wouldn't come out. Is there any point in doing this? Challenge rewards are based on points gained from killing monsters, not based on time. It feels like we are wasting our time. Alas, it's a pity that I didn't buy Mu Tingfeng this time. If the bet is right, I can still make a lot of money. I envy the big guys who invest in Mu Tingfeng. I also want to experience the feeling of getting rich. Buzz. Finally, the Tower of Heritage emitted a burst of shocking light. Many people immediately uploaded their memory videos to World Public Screen. Everyone's expressions were shocked. The last challenger has finally come out. However, when the light curtain of the Tower of Heritage came, the ranking list suddenly changed. In the list of the top 100, everyone's name is like a boat pushing away from the waves and moving back one space. And a new name, like a rising star, occupies the top of the rankings. Accompanied by a broadcast sound, it resounded in the ears of all the sacred tree masters in the entire sacred tree world. Congratulations to Divine Tree Master and LE for clearing this Tower of Heritage experience reward. Points, 100 million. Rank, 1. Congratulations to the Sacred Tree Master Mu Tingfeng for winning the ranking reward of this Tower of Inheritance. Points, 6.5 million. Rank, 2. How can it be? My first place was snatched away. When these two panels appeared, Mu Tingfeng was dumbfounded for a moment. 100 million points. What is this concept? The long string of numbers fell into everyone's eyes. At this moment, the entire sacred tree world was silent. Come down. After a few short seconds, the crowd exploded like a boiling cauldron. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 328. Chapter 328, Thunder Emperor Inheritance, Reward for clearing the level. Damn it, is it true? The last one really made it to the top of the rankings. It was the old man who just said that people were wasting their time. Sorry, boss, I was wrong. That's outrageous. With 100 million points, is this person cheating? Brothers, put your awesomeness on the public screen. Awesome. 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 Not only the nearby melon-eating spectators, but also many people in the entire sacred tree world are paying attention to the Tower of Heritage. Originally, it was already a certainty that Mu Tingfen would be at the top of the list. Who knew that a dark horse would actually emerge? Among them, the most shocked person was Mu Tingfen himself. She has a lot of heart for winning the first place in the rankings this time. After all, the tree puller is not here. As the saying goes, if there are no tigers in the mountains, the monkey will be the king. But in fact, even if there are no tigers in the mountains, monkeys are definitely not qualified to be kings. Chen Yaojin came out halfway and defeated Mu Tingfen tenfold with 100 million points. Can this be called Chen Yaojin? It's like the great Qin sword god has arrived. Peace. Looking at the names on the ranking list, Mu Tingfeng's brows instantly furrowed. She thought the person who appeared on it would be a tree lover. No matter how bad it was a familiar name. But the name Onel had never been heard of. Not only that. Near the Tower of Heritage, many top divine tree masters also had doubts in their eyes. Who is Onel? Have you heard of this name? No. I have never had any impression of this name. Weird, could it be that another big boss came out? Stop it, there are enough bosses. Everyone looked at the door of the Tower of Heritage collectively. Many people were curious. The newly promoted number 1 actually cleared the entire Tower of Heritage. Who is he? The next second. In the light gate, an extremely fast lightning shadow turned into a thunder and flowed past. Before anyone could see who the person was, the other person disappeared in an instant. What a speed! Everyone showed a shocked expression. And Ye was even more surprised. This person's speed is actually much faster than me using my shadow power with all my strength. The subordinates next to him were secretly shocked when they heard this. Even Anye said so. As a top assassin, Anye's speed is naturally not slow. He can identify the opponent's speed, and even faster. That means that the opponent's speed has surpassed the top level in the world of the sacred tree. It has reached the level of a peerless master. A sacred tree master with the thunder attribute came closer, and his feet had completely softened. The attributes of the Thunder Emperor. This is the highest realm of thunder attribute. Could it be said that this person has touched the realm of the realm? This paragraph attracted the attention of others. Domain. Many divine tree masters, through a series of opportunities in the grey world, also roughly got the concept of domain. Domains beyond the SSS level can it is a world of its own. Anyone who fights against a strong person in the domain realm will never be able to defeat the enemy as long as he enters the opponent's domain. Unless he is also a strong person in the realm. Otherwise, this realm is completely inferior to the following enemies. Dimensional strike. Does anyone know the news about Onel? I'm offering 10,000 top-grade fertilizers. I'll trade it for a diamond-level weapon. For all information about Onel's heavy auction, as long as there is any channel, you can come to me and send me a private message. All the major sacred tree master guilds have released news. They clearly want Onel's message. In their eyes, Onel should belong to the kind of sacred tree master who was relatively low-key some time ago and suddenly became famous later. He is equivalent to a hermit. Master. Usually, such sacred tree masters are rarely involved with guilds. Many guilds want to know if they can attract masters of this level to join their guilds. The conditions are natural. The reward was quite sufficient. However, after a while, there was very little information about Onel. This made many people wonder, who is Onel, And why did he suddenly win the ranking with 100 million points? 1. Mu Yu Tingfeng's face turned gloomy. She was unhappy. She felt particularly unhappy. The first person on the list who was about to get it was poached like this again. I must know who you are. Mu Yu Tingfeng gritted her teeth, and a white light bloomed in her eyes again. The next second, her pupils began to connect with the stars in the sky, as if she could see through everything in the universe. Cough cough cough. Suddenly, a counter-attack force invaded Mu Yu Tingfeng's chest. She couldn't help but cough a few times. There was an obvious trace of blood on her red lips. Heaven's backlash. Mu Yu Tingfeng's pupils shrank. With this attribute the feeling actually appeared again. Let's talk about this matter in detail from the beginning, back to before the end of the Tower of Heritage. Anil finally completed all the challenges, and a reminder appeared in front of her. Congratulations on passing all the tests in this Tower of Inheritance, and you have received the SSS-level magical power reward, Thunder Emperor Inheritance. Thunder Emperor Inheritance, the inherited mantle of the Thunder Emperor. Through practice, you can obtain the Thunder Field. Anil's eyes bloomed with light. After hesitating for a moment, she opened the transaction panel and sent a message to Lu Shu. Anil: President, this is the reward for clearing the 100th floor of the Tower of Heritage. I'll give it to you now. President: Keep it for yourself. Anil: But you killed the boss. President: It doesn't matter. This thing is of no use to me. You can just use it. Anil's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. The president actually rejected the inheritance of Thunder Emperor? This is too domineering. In fact, it would be useful for Lu Shu to come. After all, the field of cohesion has great improvement value for him. However, the level of the previous reincarnation field was too high. It was just a field with thunder attributes and could not meet Lu Shu's needs. Even if the breakthrough speed is accelerated, it will also affect the upper limit behind it, which is not worth the gain. It's better to leave it to Anil. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 329. Chapter 329, The Joy of Being at the Top of the Rankings. With Lu Shu's permission, NLE happily used the Thunder Emperor's inheritance. The next second, there was a lightning mark between her eyebrows. Is this the inheritance of Thunder Emperor? Anil showed an expression of great joy. You are being teleported to the Thunder Emperor's Heritage Palace, and you can exchange all your points into treasures within a limited time of 1 hour. As a prompt sounded, the teleportation light curtain descended on Anil. In addition to rankings and rewards for clearing 100 levels, the 100 million points Anil has on hand can also be used to redeem treasures. The next second, Anil opened his eyes again, and in front of him was a palace full of treasures. At a glance, there are all kinds of treasures placed on the huge crystal counter. Lu Shu's spiritual power also followed Anil here. The inheritance of Thunder Emperor is really rich, and he is worthy of being the messenger from the heavenly palace. Spiritual power swept away. There are many treasures here, all above S level. There are also several SSS level inheritance props, as well as some special treasures and buildings, and their functions are also amazing. Peace and happiness come first. This is the first time I've been to a place like this, and my eyes are dazzled. There are so many treasures, what should you choose? At this moment, Anil, who has 100 million points, is facing the vast treasure house of the Tower of Heritage, as if he is visiting his own back garden. At this moment, Lu Shu's voice sounded in Anil's mind. You can spend 10 million points to redeem the Time Tower. Then, spend 20 million points and choose the Thunder Emperor initiation to directly maximize the Thunder Emperor inheritance. The next 50 million points can be exchanged for the Thunder Emperor's SSS-level Thunder God Sword, and the remaining 20 million points can be exchanged for the SS-level Leikai. This exchange can quickly bring your strength to the peak level of the Divine Tree Master. Anil nodded immediately and took action according to what Lu Shu said. She is full of love for Lu Shu now. Naturally, she would not have the slightest doubt. According to Lu Shu's instructions, Anil immediately found the Tower of Heritage. Time Tower. Do you want to spend 10 million points to get 1 year of enlightenment time? The Tower of Inheritance contains the special time mechanism of Tiangong. As the saying goes, 1 day in the sky and 1 year in the earth. The flow rate of time in the heavenly palace is different from that in the grey world. As the messenger from the heavenly palace, the Thunder Emperor also used some means to change the flow of time. Of course, this flow rate can only be used in the Tower of Heritage. It will be invalid after leaving it, and it cannot be brought back to the Sacred Tree Island. Otherwise, if any Sacred Tree Master is given a year to grow, I'm afraid not all products and levels will take off. Lu Shu also felt a little pity. There is a huge gap between practicing in the Tower of Heritage and practicing on your own Sacred Tree Island. If you spend 1 year on the Sacred Tree Island, then take off directly. But if he can only practice in the tower, then it doesn't mean much to him. After all, upgrading relies on the fruits of the sacred tree. For Anil, she just took over the inheritance of Thunder Emperor. At this moment, it takes some time to digest this realization. Exchanged Thunder Emperor's sword and Leikai. Leikai directly turned into thousands of rays and injected them into every piece of Anil's skin and cells. There is no need to wear thick armor. Anil's skin, covered with Leikai's ultimate thunder and lightning attributes, has extremely high resistance to physical attacks and mental attacks. The lightning attribute is one of the few elemental attributes that can resist spiritual attacks. He is also the king of elemental attributes. A thought came to my mind. The Thunder Emperor's sword filled with thousands of rays of lightning appeared in Anil's hand. Boom! Thunder is rolling around. Anil felt her arm sink and was extremely surprised. She has reached the state of combining human and sword. Logically speaking, even a legendary divine sword can be used casually. However, this Thunder Emperor's sword gave Anil a feeling of difficulty in using it. It's like a wild horse that runs wild and must be controlled by the best horse trainer. Your level is not enough now. You need to fully activate the Thunder Emperor inheritance and obtain the Realm of Thunder attribute before you can control this sword. Lu Shu's eyes moved and he explained a little more. As a visitor from the Heavenly Palace, the Thunder Emperor's strength has surpassed the ordinary SSS level, and may even have reached the realm of saints and above. Lu Shu thinks that his current strength is still just he is only a half-saint and has not completely surpassed the Thunder Emperor. He still needs to condense 3 different fields to reach the level of a saint. Of course, by that time, Lu Shu will no longer be an ordinary saint. Hearing this, Anil felt even more I'm so surprised. No wonder the Thunder Emperor's sword requires 50 million points. It's so powerful. Xueji is hiding in Anli's body and trembles slightly. Well, the Thunder Emperor's sword gives Xueji a strong sense of oppression. It's like a mountain collapsed. As the 7th sword in the world, Xueji's sword soul is also very arrogant. But facing the Thunder Emperor's sword, Xueji suddenly became silent. It can be seen that the level of this sword it has reached an extremely exaggerated level. I am afraid, only the Zuxian sword in Lu Shu's hand can surpass the sword of the Thunder Emperor. Of course, the ranking of famous swords in the world of Divine Tree Master is also made internally by Divine Tree Master. There is no record of the Zuxian sword in Lu Shu's hand and the Thunder Emperor's sword in Anil's hand. If these weapons were used, it would be a dimensionality reduction attack. I'm in. Anil took a deep breath and stepped into the Time Tower. At the same time, she also spent 20 million points and chose the Thunder Emperor initiation. A huge Thunder Emperor consciousness was immediately initiated into Onel's body. What a powerful spirit! Onel exclaimed inwardly, and then did not dare to neglect, and immediately used his mental power to fight against the will of the initiation. The remaining consciousness of the Thunder Emperor here helped Onel polish the field of thunder and lightning. According to Lu Shu's calculation, after a year, Onel can pass the initiation and perfectly unlock the realm of thunder. At that moment, she will become a domain-level powerhouse in the world of the sacred tree. Aspire to the top of the rankings. Planting trees for all, 3 consecutive SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Immortal. Chapter 330. Chapter 330, Advance to the tomb and meet Emperor Cao. Lu Shu's mind exited Onel's body. Now, this girl has no problem. Moreover, he didn't want his consciousness to be wasted in the time tower for a year, just to see how Onel would break through. Immediately afterwards, Lu Shu returned to the suspicious tomb. With the continuous strategy, the evil aura ahead has become stronger and stronger. On the tombstones on the road, distinct names gradually emerged. Most of the monsters that came out were the same as the dancing girl. Although they were of low status, the skills of the dead souls made Lu Shu also be vigilant. As he continued walking forward, an isolated tombstone in front attracted Lu Shu's attention. I saw 2 conspicuous words engraved on the tombstone. Cao tomb. Lu Shu's eyes moved slightly. He remembered that the 72 suspicious tombs were the tombs of kings. And that king is named Cao. Could it be said that we have reached the location of the king's tomb? Boom, boom, boom. At this time, there was a strange sound coming from the side. Lu Shu's eyes moved and he immediately looked around. Surrounding Cao's tomb, the stone tablets suddenly rose from the ground. It is different from the stone monument outside. These stone tablets are all half a person's height. The workmanship is also extremely sophisticated. In addition to the name of the owner of the tombstone, life events are also engraved on it. Only high-ranking officials and dignitaries have such tombstone specifications. Lu Shu immediately focused his attention on the names engraved on the tombstones. The tomb of General Hussar Cao Hong. Tomb of General Gensi Xiahao Iwan. Tomb of General Zhong Langpound. Tomb of Captain Wu Mang, Dian Wei. Dark curtains of light rose from all around Lu Shu. From the tombstone, the figure of the general gradually emerged. They exude a powerful aura. Even SSS-level monsters cannot bring such terrible oppression. Lu Shu's eyes immediately became solemn. This was the first time he encountered an elite-level monster at such a distant coordinate. Moreover, there is a boss suspected to be coming from here. Immediately afterwards, on the tombstone with the inscription Cao's tomb, a figure wearing noble robes and an emperor's crown appeared in the form of a shadow. In front of Lu Shu's eyes, a panel immediately popped up. Emperor Cao. Category, Shadow of the Suspicious Tomb. Danger Coefficient, SSS+. Perception Range, Kilometer Radius of the Tombstone. Power, 10,200. Speed, 10,150. Defense, 10,120. Skills, Summon Generals, Shadow of the Suspicious Tomb, Emperor's Roar. Description: since the collapse of one emperor throughout the ages, the Han dynasty was destroyed and the world was divided into 3 parts. He was the most promising king to become emperor. Emperor Cao, who had lost his way in the middle way, had great reluctance in his heart. He absorbed the aura of the abyss and cooperated with the immortality technique spread in the heavenly palace to build his tombstone into a realm that could never be breached. After his death, this area became the eternal world of the Cao family. An angry shout sounded like thunder, echoing around. The bold thief dares to break into my territory. Come on, take this person down. Yes. The surrounding generals all burst out with an earth-shattering response. Dian Wei held 2 axes and wore thick armor. His body was like a hill. Every step he took made the earth shake. His figure he jumped, and in the next second, his whole body fell down like a meteorite, erupting with extremely terrifying power. Zheng. The sound of the sword cut through the world. The Zuxian sword, come out. A bright sword light passed through the dark tomb, illuminating the everything here. Lu Shu's eyes showed a murderous intent. At this moment, he no longer held back. Open the sky with one sword. The sword god template was activated to the extreme, erupting with terrifying sword energy, sweeping the surroundings crazily everything. The expressions of the generals changed drastically, and they all took out their weapons and used their best moves to resist Lu Shu's attack. Town. Cao Tianzu raised the crown on his head high and burst out with a burst of powerful spiritual pressure. The aura of the emperor suppressed everything. The golden light of the emperor's crown burst out that day, and the whole place was illuminated with a dazzling light. Lu Shu was not moved at all, he also released an imperial aura to rival him. His spiritual power reached the SSS level. Among the skills acquired in the Holy Land, the imperial aura was no weaker than that of Emperor Cao. This coercion was simply useless to him. It had no effect. Emperor Cao was shocked and angry, and shouted, "Thieves, how dare you use the emperor's energy on your own? I will kill you today to take away the destiny of heaven." For Emperor Cao, destiny is everything he strives for all his life. It is also the source of the emperor's energy. Now, he sees other people can use the same skills. How shocked and angry! Lu Shu can see at a glance that Cao, the aura of the emperor released by the emperor, is simply false. It is not the orthodox aura of the emperor at all. After all, in the historical records of the times, Emperor Cao did not really receive the destiny, he was just the most promising person. He is in before he died, he accepted the erosion of the power of the abyss and turned from the king of that generation into a complete monster. It seemed that he had gained eternal life in the tomb of doubt, but in fact he just created a new abyss for the grey world. And Emperor Cao has also become one of the monsters in the abyss. The so-called suspicious tomb is just the last fig leaf after his failure. Break! Lu Shu shouted. The sword light instantly shattered the combined defenses of the generals. His sword god template has almost reached the highest level. When he exploded with all his strength reached half-saint, far exceeding the ordinary SSS level. Want to break Lu Shu's attack, you must have more than 3 fields and reach the holy level or above before you can hope to defeat him. The suspicious tomb seems to be very strong, but in fact it is just a manifestation of a special field. Lu Shu, his body already has the realm of reincarnation, and the power of his sword is no less than that of the realm, symbolizing the ultimate destructive power. Soon, all the projected generals were under the light of the sword, like water waves cutting through the lake, their shadows disappeared. Nothing left. You, how dare you kill me? Cao Tianzu let out a cry of shock and fury. All the generals around him were killed. He was unable to resist Lu Shu's attack. The next second, the sword light slashed towards his neck.